my new favorite axe, which is a Takamine acoustic bass, fretless neck, F holes, you know, it's an arch top design, and just a great sound acoustically. Plus, it has electronics, so you can amplify it. But I've just kind of been playing along with records. My wife has a terrific music collection on her phone, and we've got a little iHome thing, so she plays it that, and I play along with all kinds of neat people. You know, I go back and to the Buffalo Springfield stuff. You know, very little of which I'm on the recordings of.
Right.
So I do, and I say now this is the way the bass line should have gone on this one.
Absolutely.
That sort of thing. So that's a lot of fun, and it keeps my chops up, and but that's about where that sits right now. So I'm on the boat with a whole bunch of other guys who are just in the same situation I'm in. Yeah.
Well, the fretless, David. Now let's talk a little bit of fretless.
Let's talk fretless.
David is a big proponent of the fretless bass.
Yay! All right.
And then there's his fretless bass himself. Look at that, 6 strings, David.
Oh my God.
No, you fret less with a fretless.
You fret less with a fretless. Now, Jim, are you a line fretted fretless player or an unlined? No lines on the neck.
Oh, no lines on the neck. No, it looks like a string bass fingerboard.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller, of course, but as a matter of fact, I had to put position dots on the side of the neck. I just put them, you know, on the where the harmonics are. Gotcha. So I've got, like, you know, the fifth, the double octave, the fifth, and then the octave at the midpoint of the neck, just to help me out a little bit with it. Because as I say, you know, I do play upright, so I needed a little help to make the transition to the shorter neck on the Takamine, but it's been working great for me. That's what I used over in Ireland. That's the only only axe I took with me to Ireland.
Wow.
And bought a nice little amp for it over there, which I had to leave behind because, of course, they're 240 volt there. So no point in bringing it all the way back here. So I've been shopping around for another, you know, small, like, you know, club size amp. I'm a big proponent of 10-inch speakers.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So that's one of that's the first thing on my wish list for an amp. But you know, as I say, I've not had any need for one yet, so I'm okay just playing it acoustically at home, and every now and then I'll invite someone over here and we'll sit out on the front porch and just play acoustically.
Well, speaking of upright, you studied with Ralph Pena, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Now, what better bass player, if you want to talk about a bass player who plays to the song, talk about a guy who played with Frank Sinatra.
Right. Oh yeah, he was just great. I learned so much from him, and that's where my hand technique comes from. I use an upright technique where I'm use 1, 2, and 4 on the left.
Samandel.
Yeah, Samandel, exactly. Been through the Samandel stuff. And that I even use that technique when I play Fender bass.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting because, you know, I always think of it as a finger fret, but you know, and Tom and I always talk about the pre-Jocko groups and the post-Jocko groups, and obviously, you know, I'm from the pre-Jocko. Actually, I'm from the pre-Stone Age groups. That's Fred Flintstone when Barney was sick.
Was that you on the gig? Yeah.
That was me. That was me. Not only was it fretless, there was a hamster running so the pickup would work.
Look at him.
Speaking of winging it, right, Jim? But
Right, this is the bass guitar comedy channel.
Yeah, but the reality is there are so many proponents of the pre-Jocko electric players that do play with a Simandl technique.
Yeah, it just seems to make a lot more sense. You know, you reduce your position to 3 frets instead of 4, and so you know the octave is right there, and the 5th, and you know it makes it I think a lot easier to play most of the intervals. You get up to the augmented 9th, and you've got to jump around a bit. But that's the other thing. It really makes you get your shifts down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That would make a great deal of sense. And you know, just speaking of sharp 9s and things like that, you look at well, with the 6th string, I'm completely up and down.
Yeah.
Basically, 3rd fret to 2nd fret, meaning B string to high C, is 2 octaves. So with a 4 fret stretch, I'm literally 2 octaves and a minor 3rd.
Right. Yeah, it would makes it a lot easier to play melodically.
Yeah.
On the 6th string, you don't have
and
to
read.
Yeah.
Right, and you also use pastel strings, David. That's another.
Well, absolutely. You know, it takes a tough man to, I have pink strings too, neon pink, which look great on stage. However, I haven't seen a stage in a little bit too long.
Yeah.
I've got family members advocating for me to go.
Well, Jim, we're talking technique. This is a question that's always puzzled me. Now, I never got to see you, obviously, with Buffalo Springfield, but I noticed, one of the way you position the bass, and that's one of the things bass players, we all grapple with that. Now, I've seen photos of you with Buffalo Springfield, I think playing a Hofner, and you're holding the bass up sort of high, chest high. Right. And then I saw another shot of you with Buffalo Springfield. I believe it was Hollywood Bowl, where you're playing a Fender bass now, sort of mid-body, which is probably the most ergonomically correct way. Then with BS&T, I see you with the bass way below the waist. And I couldn't figure out how you could play so fluidly with the bass sort of like at that bizarre angle. And then your latter days with Neil Sedaka, I see you went to a Music Man. Right. And you somehow put the strap over the body a bit to tilt it in. Let's talk about the evolution of your technique here.
That strap arrangement is one of the things that have helped me the most. I put the forward part of the strap over the lower horn.
Right.
And the strap pin is attached to the side of that lower horn. What that does is makes the it balances the body a lot easier. I can put my neck at an angle where the nut is up about even with my eyebrows, like you would do on an upright. Yeah, exactly. And it'll stay there. I don't have to hold it. I don't have to use any of my hand or arm muscles to keep the bass upright. I can take my arms away and it stays right there.
Wow, I have to try that. That's
yeah.
Now, what was your methodology with BS&T? Because you had the bass really sort of below your hip, and the neck angled up. Yeah.
I was still kind of learning to play it, as it were, with that group, and so I went through a lot of different changes, and that was the early days. I had it low like that. It still kept the nut, about level with my eyes, so it just worked for me. And also I had a real wide leather strap that was made for me by John Brown in Chicago.
Okay.
There's a name from the past, and it seemed to make it was a lot more comfortable to make holding it low like that because of the wide strap.
And it was a heavy, those P basses in the 60s were much heavier, I believe, right?
Yeah, they sure were.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been an evolving thing. The Hofner I had, which I bought from Manny's in New York, was.
Do you remember what you paid for it at Manny's in 1960?
God, maybe $200 or something. And used that for a while. I was living in LA at the time, and started using that on a lot of the stuff that I was doing out there. And then one day I said, I bet this would make a great fretless bass. So I just took a screwdriver and pried all the frets out.
I love it. Yeah.
What year would that have been?
We're talking about 67.
Okay.
Back then, 66, 67. That was my start. Right out of high school, I went to Hollywood, and because Tim Buckley was a high school classmate of mine.
Right. Yeah,
that was really how I got started in the whole thing. We had garage band together in high school.
The Bohemians, yes.
Yeah, right. Very good. Played for like the sock hops at the school and everything, and then
sock hops, David.
Yeah, and then the folk music clubs started opening up all around the place, and and we made a demo of Tim's early songs.
Right.
And I was teaching guitar in a music store. This is in Anaheim, Orange County.
That's where you,
we lived like 3 blocks from Disneyland.
Yeah.
And so it was teaching guitar at this music studio, and in comes the wild-eyed Indian guy from El Paso and says, "I'm a drummer. You need a drum teacher?" And that was Jimmy Carl Black.
Oh, Jesus.
At that time, I mean, the mothers were brand new.
Yeah,
at that point. And so Jimmy and I got to be really good friends. And he said, we're playing at the Trip up in Hollywood on the Sunset Strip there. And he said, "Come, you guys should come by and meet our manager, who was Herb Cohen, who managed a lot of the like New York folkies who moved out to California, Judy Henske, Modern Folk Quartet, which was the beginnings of the association. It became the association. Fred Neil, I played on the first demo of Dolphins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which Tim would go on later to record. Yeah.
Yes. And do a great version of it.
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite versions of that song.